All right, let's get ready to rip. When you go to a tracker facility, it's not about the money in the track. It's about the people. Guys, I don't give a shit about anything but making this hobby better. You don't have to put them into a late model right out of the hit. Put them in a slash. Let them bang around on the bathtubs. What else is going on, guys? Let's jump right into it. This week is going to be a week of maybe, I hope, a little bit lighter news. A little bit lighter. What's up, Jeremy Morris? A little lighter on the side of Mark Larson's in the house. We just seen him up at the underground. A little lighter on the headache. A little lighter on the tension. Try to not get so fired up as we was the last couple weeks. There is a little bit of, we do have to talk a little bit, but that's where that's at. Okay. These next 2 weeks we're going to try to calm it down a little bit, make it a little bit more fun, because it's been a rough one the last couple weeks for the podcast. I don't ever how do I want to say this? Regret what we put out here, but because I think it's things everybody needs to talk about. So with that being said, I do not, I'm not saying we won't go back to something like that, because we have to, but there's so much stuff that needs to be said. And guys, if this is the platform that everybody comes out to say it on, then I'm okay with that. I don't have a problem with it. So here it is. We're going to talk about track status, I guess I'm going to call it. I don't know how else to put it. So that's one thing, and then we have a question of the week. But as always, let's get into the numbers. We only had a couple of dirt tracks race this weekend, outdoors. Get to my numbers here. BB Mods, Farmer City, and Germantown were the only outdoor tracks that I know of that ran that I follow. Farmer had 15 and 35 yesterday, the first half of the war on Route 54. Brad had 25 and 50 today on the back half of that deal. Trophies were handed out today and Friday Night Lights, so Brad's got his season wrapped up. Farmer's got one more to go. We're going to see what that shark race is next weekend, so we'll see how that works out. Germantown, they also raced. They did their nightmare race. That's 18 on 44, so they had a decent turnout. 44 ain't bad. This time of year, guys, in all honesty, I feel like a lot of the people out there are, it's just getting chilly. You know what I mean? It's getting chilly. Everybody's ready to go inside, and we'll prove it with a number here in a minute. Russell said the Rusty Cup had 25 today. That's a good little number for you guys. That's kind of where you want to be, isn't it? So, not bad there on the Rusty Cup. I don't have any way of tracking them. So until Russell throws that in the comments, which he's always welcome to, I didn't know. I can't track them. Let's see here. Thunderdome, they ran the big oval, the new big oval. They ran it this week. First points race on that deal, 17 and 24. They've got some work to do there. Guys, we'll talk about that in a minute also. Limestone, 14 and 28. Hoosier Hobbies, they did a Tuesday deal, 20 and 23. RC Underground, we'll talk about that. Lower level, that's where Orange Crush is racing now, up in Michigan, 22 and 20 and 39. So we'll watch them too, because Orange Crush is up there. I'll kind of watch his progress as we go along also. So it's really good to see that. RC Underground, we had 22 and 57. Guys, I think that's a really good turnout. Dave's Basement is Dave's Basement. We had one hell of a time at the Midwestern. I was really glad I got to go. I was also really glad that I got to see how it worked. There's not a lot of room down there. We're racing on foam tiles flipped upside down that you get in the hardware store, flipped up over upside down, and that thing, it kind of works like dirt in my opinion. It's loose in the first 30 minutes, and then it starts to grip up, And the only way to not traction roll is to glue the right front tire. And everybody does it, knows it, and it works out pretty well. The fun thing about the 400 was it's a 400 for a reason. The last of the race, Dave ran 400 laps. Took him like 26 minutes to run 400 laps. And I think it was pretty close at the end, within a lap maybe. In the end, it was Dalton and Easton. Easton ended up pulling it out. Dalton had a big lead early on, and Easton just kept coming with it. We ran 210 laps, turned around at 210, gave you a 5-minute caution, do anything you want to your car, but you couldn't take it back to the pits. Once that got done, you put them back on the track and you got ready to rip. Ran the last 190 laps. We did call cautions and stuff like that. If a car got flipped in the middle, come out of the park, something like that, then we're calling cautions. So, and Lucky Dog worked. It was really a cool deal. So I'm glad we got to make it up there. I know Mark was up there. He had a really good time too. We talked afterwards, and dude, 1RC is fun. So don't be surprised if you guys don't see 1RC around. I think it's coming. The other one is Slideways. Slideways, they took the cake today. 39 and 104. I seen their post said 106. Live RC had 104. Doesn't matter. 2 cars is 2 cars. Who gives a shit? They had a really good turnout at Slideways, guys. We will make it to Slideways. Check that deal out. It seems like a great place to race, so we'll make it down there this winter at some point and watch some racing. All right. Let me get this out of the way. Chris says, I went to Germantown. I struggled all day, but had a good time. Took 3 thirds. You sound like Matt. You sound like Matt. Matt had a lot of thirds today, too. So don't feel bad, Chris. Rick Taylor said Iowa outdoor season is pretty much over now. Yeah, most of us northern states were done. It's time to go indoors, guys, and get things done and see what happens. Rick says 1RC's taking off in Iowa. Guys, it's there's a High Road has a track up here where they have their dirt oval track. They also have a track that Dwayne puts on in the wintertime in his garage. So that's part of, that's cool. Thunderdome used to run some. They kind of backed off of that, and the new carpet oval is too big and too slow for them. So I don't think they'll be running on that. It looks like, and I don't know. I haven't been up there yet, guys. I didn't go because we went north. But it looks like the sprint car, rubber tire sprint cars are not going to run, from what I understand. And if JJ or anybody's on here can clarify, it doesn't look like the 13.5 rubber tire sprint cars are going to run. The Losi cars are running with no wing, no 1RC as of now. The Losi last cars have 2 classes, a Busch Series and a Cup Series, novice and better. But here's what I'm going to say about that, guys. And I have nothing to do with that. Nobody has ran a carpet over like that in this area that I know of in a long time. The guys that are running it right now and trying to figure out classes have not ran it ever. Ran one, ran the show. So next weekend's a big race. We'll talk about it later. But guys, give them time. Don't go in there with a fuck you attitude, because it's going to take some time to figure it out. My opinion is it might be a little early to put on a big race, but they have to do it, right? They have to do it to figure out what they need to do. So make sure that when you go up there to race on next Friday night's practice, Saturday's a race, make sure you understand that, okay? They're still figuring things out. They're still working through it. They do a good job. Just that's how it is. Joe Payne says, but that's my favorite attitude. There's a track set up in a mall. Yeah, you can set them up anywhere. Here's Joe's comment about the favorite attitude is a fuck you attitude. And Matt is the king of thirds. I think he got 3 or 4 of them today. Good job, Matt. Way to be the second loser. And Mark said 1RC is just a blast. It is a good time. It is a good time. They're just small cars, but very cheap. So I mean, why not? Orange Crush says I appreciate them just diving in head first. Yeah, I mean, I think Dave put a post out. They said it couldn't be done. Here it is, and it agreed. So let them figure it out. Work through it. Figure it out. Give them good criticism. And here's what I'm going to say about that. Say you go up there and you run your low-C sprint, non-wing, and you have an idea of something that they could do or a class that might work, give them that feedback. But don't tell them, hey, you idiots, why didn't you fucking run this class? You know, that's just not the way to handle it, okay? These guys are, like Orange said, jumping in feet first, or head first, and getting it done. So there's a ton of money, there's a ton of time, there's a ton of effort, and let them guys figure it out. They will get it. It might take a little bit, just like they had to knock some class up. They tried to run slashes on there. Way too big. I thought that would be the case, but let's see what happens, right? I don't know. I've never ran that. So make sure you guys give them room, give them time to figure it out. Don't bash them on the first time they have a problem. Don't bash them the first time you go there and it's not perfect for you. Let them figure it out. It'll get better as it goes. Here's JJ right now. What's up, Hangline? 5.5 second laps, 10K, LiPo, 1RC. NASCAR running 4 or 5 laps. 1RC can run on the track. Not sure how many will show up for it. Okay, there it is, guys. Right from the horse's mouth. Or the Cub fan's mouth. We ain't going to hold that against you this weekend. Hangline, don't worry about it. So there you go. 10K on LiPos, 5.5 second lap. If they're going to allow them to run next weekend, I would suggest guys in the 1RC community get together, message, get a group that you know that wants to run it, or send it to me and I'll put it out on my page too. If they're willing to run a 10K car and you guys want to try them out, I feel like that would be a worthy thing to do if you guys want to try them out. 10K cars, figure out what chassis you want to run them on, and see what happens. I mean, I don't know. Chris says third is the new first. Yeah, I agree. I think running on that high banked oval would be a blast. It will be. We just have to figure out what's going to work the best. Hangline, have you had any of the breakout class there yet? Has anybody run them cars? The RJ Speed cars on there yet? I do not want any right now, Mama. Thank you, though. He says 10 1RCs on the track might be pretty bad. Yeah, I bet you could put 15 on there. I'm just saying. We had 6 on that little bitty track of Dave's. So, no breakouts. We only had 2. Okay. And he says next weekend for sure. So, yeah, I mean, yes. 1RC guys, they're not very big. Pack them in your bag. Take them with you. And if you have a 10K, I'm sure Jason will talk to you when you get there. Friday night, if you can get there Friday night and run them and see how they do, and you guys can make a race. He said they can fit 14 on the driver's stand, but it will be tight. I mean, whatever you can fit, you know what I mean? Kind of figure it out. 12 or 13 would be plenty probably on the track, honestly. Just kind of see how you go. And Orange Crush says he's bringing a breakout next weekend. Okay? What do you guys think? What do you guys think about that deal? I think it's badass. I think we need something like that. I think the more the merrier. You know what I mean? Like, try to figure it out and get as many in there as we can to just enjoy the race. Get this up here real quick. Okay. Bag, hell, you can put them in your back pocket. Yeah, they are small. They're cool, though. All right. Mark says he's willing to try it. Mark got in heavy. He did really, really well this weekend at the 1RC race. So that was a good time. Okay. All right. Let's jump over here. Let's jump into question of the week, which is going to kind of transition into what we're talking about also a little bit, okay? So here's the question of the week, guys. Bill Bauer put it out there. Question of the week, should track start teching the top 3 in a non-open class? Should they start teching in a non-open class? Here's what I can say to that. Yes. Yes, we should tech. Here's the problem. Who techs? That's the biggest problem. Luckily, places like Jake's had Texas Joe do theirs. I think he did a good job. We just have to figure that out as a community. There's a couple of different ways to look at that. One way is, as a community, when we figure that out, the racers have to try to be as compliant as they can be. If we're not compliant, then it makes that process so much harder. So if you are compliant with that, then that helps a ton. Okay? But I feel like they should be teched in the top 3. My problem is I don't have anybody to tech them. I don't have time during the day when I'm running a race myself. I don't feel like there's a lot of extra money laying around at the tracks to be able to pay somebody to tech. Attitude, I think, does it with a group of people per class. That's something I was going to talk to Aaron this winter about a little bit and see how he kind of handles that. But that's where the problem is. I think the problem runs into finding somewhere to do it, or finding someone to do it, more than anything. Rick said top 3 should be teched and have a person such as a track worker and are familiar with the rules. Understand. But when you only have one track worker, what do you do? That's the problem. Honestly, I'm not trying to make light of anything. I'm just saying that the reality of it is, whenever I'm running my show on my own, how do I do that? That's hard. Now, could I recruit people? Yes. Could I ask fellow racers? Yes. But a lot of us track owners are introverts, no different than you guys are as racers, and we're not asking for help. The pride side of it says, I'm running my show, you're not. And that's no disrespect to anybody. Believe me, my Kempton crew, the guys that are here every weekend understanding how I run the show, knowing what I do, they know I don't ask for help. I make things where I don't have to ask. So, like I said, I feel like that should happen. The reality of it is it's very hard to do. Rick says it's a slippery slope. You got to trust the drivers to be honest. It is on the good old boy honesty system. But if a track takes the time or has the people or has whatever to get a to do tech, does that make it a more premier location because they do tech? It's coming, guys. We're going to talk about it in a minute. Okay? Let me grab a drink. Hang on. Think about that just a second. I'll be right back. All right. Sorry, guys. I forgot to grab a drink before we sat down here. So, there it is. All right? I feel like they should. I don't know what everybody else thinks. I know we got a lot of guys that run mod in here on a weekly, but that's where that's at. JJ says we will have tech next weekend, looking at paying an on-road racer that won't be on the oval. Good idea. Good idea. If you got enough guys there to do that, and they have 2 tracks there, yeah, that's a great idea. Guy that's knowledgeable, guy that understands the hobby, it just doesn't race on our side. Okay? Yeah. That will work well. I think it'll work well. And you guys have room to do it. Being indoor helps. All right. All right, here we go. One other thing before we get into the topic of the week. I think that's where we're at. Let's clear up some business. So last week, last couple weeks, we've talked about the scheduling and how much of a mess it is and blah, blah, blah. Guys, I'm still doing a calendar. I still have everybody's on there. I have everybody that's brought theirs out this week except for County Line. I haven't put theirs in yet. The reality of it, that helps me whenever I go look at numbers. I don't have to go through every racetrack. When I look at your numbers, I can just go to those that are racing. That's why I'm keeping that schedule. It's also very interesting to see how many we can get going. You know what I mean? So, let's see what Rick's got here. The way one track does it in Iowa is they tech each class after the feature, top 3, and it's done in by 2 or 3 people. It doesn't take time yet. It's pretty levels of playing field. Yes, that's how they did it at Jake's. You set your cars down, top 4, set the car down, and tech guy teched it, and then it didn't hold the show up any for the mains. Yep. Definitely a way to do it. So back to the scheduling, guys. So, as you all know, I called out Cedar Bluff about a schedule change. So, I didn't know Tim was mad. Nobody reached out to me. On the podcast last week, it got brought up. So I reached out to Tim on Monday. I told him, hey man, I don't mean nothing by it. It's just I'm pissed because of the fact that the schedule got changed. And if you have a problem, call me. Gave him my number. So, and that's kind of how I work. I mean, I'm not shying away from it. What I say is what I say, and I stand up to it. So we talked. He called me. We had a conversation, and it was kind of rough. Honestly, we were both pissed. Tim thought I disrespected him or thought I didn't need to call him out on it, and I thought that they shouldn't have changed their schedule. I thought they should have thought about their schedule more than and he said, well, a track came in and put his schedule on top of ours, so we had to change it. So we try to come to a solution, and I don't know that there is a solution to it, guys. We're going to get scheduled on top of. It is what it is. I think he just wanted to clear the air that he didn't purposely do it once a schedule came out that was on him, he had to do something to get away from that schedule, and he just picked a date because nobody had taken it, not knowing that somebody is already sitting in the back doing it, not going to put their schedule out till after next weekend when the outdoor season's over. I don't know if there's any better way of doing it, but that's how it was handled. He agrees, and we talked about it, that we all need to get together as track owners. And track owners that are on here right now, we will get together if you're willing to get together. It will be a face-to-face. It will not be a chat. It will not be a text group. The first time we talk as a group, I would like it to be face-to-face. We'll pick a Sunday. I have a location that is in the center of all of our the major areas that race. I have found a central location so nobody has to drive any further than anybody else, and we can all meet and have a conversation about it. The conversation is going to be about rules more than it is going to be about scheduling, but I'm sure scheduling will be brought up, and that's okay. The reality of it is, guys, if we do a meeting where we're all talking about stuff, we all have to go in with an open head, open mind, open thoughts to make things best we can for the hobby. I talked to some guys today at the track when I was down at Brad's, and the conversation came up. I'm just there. But the conversation comes up that there's places I can't go race because the rules are different. We all know that's a problem, guys, but we all have to sit down and do something about it. Okay? But that's the best thing. Sorry, I just seen a comment come in. Jason said, I'm glad to hear y'all had a talk. Heated at first, but cooler heads prevailed in the agreement to try to work together. Yes, 100%. And I told him, I said, Tim, I told him, if he's on here, jump in here and throw a comment in, Tim. I told him, I said, hey, if that's how, I'm not stepping on anybody. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying that was wrong to do. And he thought it was wrong for me to call him out. It is what it is. But we have got to figure out a way that everybody can work in some kind of harmony to be able to get the best surfaces, the best tracks, the best times, and allow guys to be able to go to other tracks to be able to get out there and experience a different track. If you don't go out and experience a different track, you're only as good as the Joe Schmo you race every week. Okay? You don't go get the big dogs. You don't go play with the big dogs, right? So there's that is. So that kind of clears that up. Cedar didn't mean to do it to me or anybody else, but they got scheduled on top of. Therefore, they had to move their schedule. So that's why that happened. Okay? I am not sorry for calling anybody out, and here's the reason. I told him this too. I said, Tim, you know what's been happening for the last 2 or 3 weeks? People have been talking about the scheduling and the problems. And I don't know if this platform helped that to keep that conversation going or not, but let's hope that did. Ryan said we need some open rain dates to move some trophy races too. I agree with that, Ryan. I just don't know how to do it. You know what I mean? There's so many tracks. That's where the problem rolls. I mean, if you look at the closest tracks to me, which is me, Brad, the BB Mods, Farmer, and Cedar, every weekend's taken up, if not doubled, with 4 tracks. I mean, that's so hard to do. Here's how I work my rain dates, and I told you guys this a week or two ago. I don't reschedule rain dates. The only one I might reschedule is the Shriner race, just because of what's going to happen with the Shriner race if I do rain out on the Shriners race is I'm going to take another one of my dates that was going to be we did the Big Tire Bonanza this year. I'm going to take that race, and it's now going to become the Shriner race. I will not re-race a race, guys. There's just too many places. you talk about stuff getting stupid. Here we are. It's going to be November 1st, and we're going to be racing it at Farmer City for a rain date. You might have snow blown up your ass. I mean, it's going to be cold. So, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know how to do that. You know what I mean? I feel like one a month is plenty for everybody. But, I mean, guys are going to do what they're going to do. I just looked up the indoor schedule, and guys race every weekend. The track is open in the winter. There's so many tracks that every weekend they're racing. Luckily, there's not as many of them, but excuse me, but a lot of them every weekend. Okay, so there's a little call out to the guys, the heavy hitters in the track business. We need to get together. We need to talk about it. We need to fix it. We can't do anything this year. We understand that. We need to figure that out. Rick says the damn rain needs to kick rocks. Well, that's a good idea, but it makes it hard to live. Jason says, it's going to be hard for you guys to see that probably, but I saw some tracks with race specials on certain weekends, and then another track that wasn't previously having a race, all of a sudden having a club race, which kept their locals from traveling to special races. That's kind of ended up being bullshit. It is bullshit. If you intentionally take a race from another track, that is uncalled for, 100%. There is no reason for you to take another track away. You know what I mean? Like there's no reason for it. We are short enough the way it is. We don't need any more problems with that, right? So don't take that away from them. That is bullshit. If I've said it before. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. If you are afraid of your racers going to another track, you better look at your own shit. It's that simple. If you are afraid that your guy is going to go to Brad's, BB Mods, Farmer City, Cedar Bluff, Slideways, PTs, Trackside, Attitude, The Crater, Raw, Brick House, Layton, any of those places, and they're never coming back to your place, you better look at your program. Point blank. That easy. Oh, here we go. This is from, surely Matt. Matt, the shark race is in Paul's hands. He hasn't answered me yet, but in my opinion, it's going to be cold and everyone is getting ready for indoor season. Turnout will be lower than this Saturday. So there it is, guys, right off the press. Make sure if you're planning on going to the shark race that you are watching the Farmer City page, okay? I'm sure Matt will put it out as soon as he knows. But that's the way it is, right? I think that's the best place to find that out. Rick Taylor says, "And ban you from their track." Well, I mean, if I'm telling you this right now, Rick, if a guy banned me from a track, I would never speak of that place again. I wouldn't talk shit about it. I'd say, "Hey, I got banned. That's it. I'm done." Then I would go race somewhere else, find new guys to race with, and probably have a damn better time. I'm just saying it. I don't know. I don't know why. I've never banned anybody from this track. Never. There's people that haven't come back because they might have got told stuff. That's fine. I don't have to do that. I've never done that. Oh, look who's here. Oh, Moisture Nuts. What's up, Brian? So yeah. So there it is, guys. So that's the whole deal on what went down. I don't have a problem with any of the tracks. I don't have any problem with any of the owners. I really don't. I just want it as fair as we can make it. Oh, look, who's here? Alyssa. Hey, Alyssa. Everybody say hey to Alyssa. So that's how we do it, okay? And that's how we work. You know what I mean? I used to give out good references or said that track no more. If a guy bans you, dude, just walk away from it. Who cares? There's more. You might have to drive an extra half an hour or an hour or whatever it is. But if you want to race, then make it happen. So, all right. I mean, that's the long, the short, and in between. All right. Oh, they got a cat too. All right. Let's go to topic of the week, guys. Topic of the week. We're 45 minutes in this deal already. Guys, this might get touchy and interesting at the same time. But don't be shy. This is a topic that we as track owners, more than anybody, really need to know about. We need to know what everybody thinks about this topic, okay? And there it is. With the outdoor season coming to an end, improvements are on the way. We know it is. What makes a track premier? You know what I mean? What makes that track a premier location? Guys, I don't know. Let me get to my notes before I say too much more. I don't have a problem with any track or how a track handles their business, whatever you want to call it. But when you talk about a track being premier, what does that mean? What does a premier track look like? What does a premier track have? And does it have to be a premier track? And here's my questions for this. Let me get to my notes here so I can not screw everything up tonight. Mark Larson jumps in there early. The overall atmosphere on how everyone treats you. Scuba says the whole atmosphere. Rick Taylor says a good racing service, good facilities, and clean races for racers. Here's what I can, guys. I was cleaning up the shop. If you guys don't know, we are in the process of moving ish. And as I was working today, before I went down to the races, I got to thinking about it. Because I knew what the topic was, and I got to thinking. That's why we put it on the RC Underground Radio on Friday, so everybody can get in there and get their thoughts in too. Van Ice says, announcer, Tony Rogers makes his track premiere. Only track promoter I see giving back to his racers. Dinners, one-of-a-kind trophies, communication with his racers. Thanks for those words, Jason. You know me well enough. I just do what I do, right? I don't look at myself as premier, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but a lot of people, more and more are talking about it. Andrew Baker says ownership and track reliability. Munchman says atmosphere, racers. Imagine how you felt walking down the hill at Warren Woods. 100%. Brian knows me well. We've hung out quite a bit, and he understands me enough where that's why I go to Warren Woods, guys. That's why I go to other events. Wes Buck told me that one on a podcast we were on. I messaged in. I'm like, Wes, where do you learn it? He goes, I go to everything, UFC, everything I can, because that is the way it is. You know what I mean? Like, learn from everybody you can. Ryan says it's a total package. Chris says a premier track, PTs and BB mods. That's my thoughts. Rick says, I can honestly say that BB mods is probably one of the best tracks, and I've been to and loved that place. Okay. I don't disagree with any of them, guys. I really don't. Here's where I'm at. What I wrote down today was this. What does a premier track look like? I've heard people say a track is premier without even going there. And I've heard tracks say that they are premier and haven't even raced a race yet. So how do you know if you've never been there? And how do you know if you've never put a race on? That's a two-sided deal, right? Tracks have also called family or called good old boy tracks, like mine, and I have no problem with that. I really feel like I'm a good old boys track. But can a good old boys track be a premier location? Can it be a premier facility? How do you become that premier facility? I've been to a lot of different tracks in the 5-state region, and they're a lot alike. So I don't know what causes or what makes people think, A, they have a premier location, or this is a premier location. And how does that rank in there? Okay? I know the guy that called me a good old boy tracks on here. Don't think I'm bagging on you, buddy. It ain't. I understand I am. Okay? And I'm okay with that. Don't get it twisted. Okay? I'm okay with that. But what makes it happen? All right? Let's get back here a little bit. Rick says, I haven't been to Kempton yet. Joe says something that doesn't resemble an off-road track. Yeah, it was a little rough today. That's all right. It's the end of the year. I think everybody understands that. Rick says he's coming next year. Ryan says Facebook and messengers are the platform, but opinions need to be made on an actual attendance. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's big too, Ryan. I think the attendance thing really needs to, you have to be there. You know what I mean? You have got to be at that location to be able to make that call, in my opinion. I don't know if Kevin's, oh, there it is. Kevin's did. I didn't know if he's going to make the screen or not. A premier track, level of competition, attitude of the competition, quality of the program, efficiency, and program atmosphere. All right, Kevin, I understand that, and I agree with you 100%. Here's the problem. No, here's my side of it. I don't say it's a problem. If you have a quote-unquote good old boys track, and you might not have that level of competition. We are lucky in the Midwest, in my opinion, to have people that will stick their neck out a little bit to say, hey, we need to go to this track. We need to do this. I had a guy tell me this week that he didn't even really know what we were doing up here in Kempton. He thought we were a mini mod only track. I think if you look at Live RC, you can tell if you follow any of the tracks that that's how it works. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm talking about my track because I'm not going to bag on anybody else's track. It gets me in trouble sometimes. And I might later, who knows. But my track, it is a good old boy track. And guess what? we're putting on programs. We're getting 50, 75, and then we got guys to help us bring in more. We got the 100 mark with help. And I think my Kempton crew does one hell of a job to get 50 to 75 in here. And then you get help from the outside, and they bring in another 20 or 30. And then the next time they had a good time, so they bring in another 100 or whatever it is, right? So then we get a big number. Guys, my track is not going to staple itself on a big number. My track is going to staple itself on being the best place to come and have a good time and race well, have good competition. Does it have to be cutthroat competition? And I'm going to talk about the Fall Brawl because it's the biggest race we've ever had, and it's the only thing I really have to judge off of to be a quote-unquote, what I think most people look at it being a premier track. I really think the competition was good that day. I think the level of competition was as good as it gets at all levels. The mod guys were all here. Not all, but most. Thanks for that outside help to get that done. The buggy street stock was stacked. Stacked. I'm going to call him out because, whatever. Me and Jason Clark were talking the other day. He was happy with where they finished. And I think him and Leona finished at about 7th that night because of the field was so stacked on buggy street stock. So what goes? You know what I mean? Slash street stock. We had 29, I think. Racing for money, and probably the cleanest race we've had. Every year that race is super clean. Why? What puts you past that? And the other question is, do you have to be a premier location? Can you be a good old boys track and still get that help, that notoriety that you need to make your track visible to people? Because the reality of it, guys, is 90% of the time, what the track owners are looking for is a little notoriety, a little visibility, a little bit of help somewhere down the road. I will not ask for help. Everybody knows that. I am not the one that's going to ask for help. So with that being said, if a guy approaches me for help because he's seen something, I don't care how other guys do it. I don't care how guys get their notoriety. If they're paying for it, more power to them. I'm not. If I'm a good old boys track the rest of my career at this deal, that's where I'm at. And I enjoy it. That's all I care about. Okay, let's get back to some stuff here. My buddy Cole's on here. Hell yeah, Cole. Good to see you, buddy. I'll get to your comment in just a second. With the stuff you do, you're right there too. Chris, thanks for that. I think we are. I just don't know that I'll ever get over the hump because of me. And solely because of me. Kevin says every track has a niche, but to me, if a track says they are premier, that's strike one. Yeah. If you tell me you're premier, you're out. Guys, I got guys come into work as an automotive technician, tell me what they can do. I said, don't tell me what you can do, show me what you can do. And I have lived by that my whole life, and I've been working on this junk that you guys drive around every day for 30 years doing it that way almost. So there it is. Jake Howard says every track has its different niche that brings the racer's surface, facility, people, and how the show is ran. 100%. Guys, I know there's tracks out there right now that will not get a car count because of how it's ran. And if you think you are that track, see where you can button it up. Because I'm telling you, in 2026 through 2030, and we're racing this shit, if you don't have a button-up deal, you're probably going to be down on car count. Brian says, what is a good old boys track? I think, honestly, I don't know this, Brian, but what I feel like to me is more laid back. Guys can bullshit. Guys can have a good time. It's not taken nearly as serious. You're not going to get a sponsor from low C. You're not going to get a team guy out here scouting your ass, right? I mean, that's just, but guys, we go to these places and mine is as in town as anybody's. You know what I mean? Like, it's just as easy to find mine as it is anybody else's. There's no tracks that are, I don't know, 116 and 66 on the corner. Nobody's bought the Kmart building and put a dirt oval there in Pontiac. Those of you guys that know. Route 66 and 116, where everybody can see you. And you build a Taj Mahal that is outdoor track, looks like Bristol, Martinsville. Nobody has that. So I just don't know. I'm just trying to figure it out because, guys, I'm doing improvements this year just like I do every year. And I think track owners need to think about, what do you guys want? And that's where we're at. I don't know if Coles will fit up here either or not. Cole says a Premier track is just garbage for a large corporation track. What I'm seeing is the definition of a great track. 90% of the beat tracks I've been to are good old boy tracks, and almost 10 times out of 10, the promoter is just about as humble as they come. I agree with you, Cole, and I think, honestly, that's where it's at. I've never been to a corporate track. I don't know if I get along well. Jared says, that core 50 to 80 plus outside help is exactly what county line ranges into. Yes. Yes. Are you raced down there, Jared? It's your first time commenting. Where are you from? Put it in the comments. Ryan says word of mouth wins all wars. Kevin, I knew this was coming. Kevin says nothing wrong with the good old boy track. To me, the good old boy track is more relaxed atmosphere, not as cutthroat, because we all get cutthroat at times. And yes, you can have a good old boys track and receive notoriety. The biggest disappointment this summer was not being able to attend the fall brawl. 100% legitimate disappointment. Kevin, I've talked to you a lot, buddy, and I understand that 100%, and I respect you for that. Does not being cutthroat, does that change the competition level or not? I don't think it does. I think the competition's still there. I just maybe I need to make a trip to the Chili Bowl because I think that's where you get the most cutthroat, in my opinion. And I might be wrong, but I feel like that's where the biggest stage is for seeing what that's about. Ryan says, we looked at the Kmart building. It's ridiculously priced and been empty for years. Ryan, they just put a new roof on that whole group from that whole deal's got a brand new roof on it, so the price probably just went up. Rick says, I don't promise a class they are going to get 50 laps in a trophy race, charge them 30 and charge them 30, then have the program run late and punish the track by cutting their cutting their laps from 50 to 25, and then get mad because drivers from that class refuse to go back. Yeah, I mean, it's taking care of each other. You know what I mean? It's taking care of each other. Kevin Smith says, absolutely not. It doesn't change it. That being the competition level is where I'm assuming we're there. Brian says, oh, who really cares about being scouted by a manufacturer? In the end, you're still paying for the product, whether it be just a discount, but in the end, it's still your time and effort to satisfy a sponsor. And I'd rather just go race. Yeah, I agree. That's why we don't have anything here. Excuse me. To be honest with you, that's why we don't have anything else. We don't have anything. To satisfy a sponsor for me is rough. We have some sponsors, but they've been around long enough. Rogue Racing, Concepts, he come on this year. Traxxas Joe, thank you for that. And he's been around me enough to pretty much understand. Jersey's from the St. Louis, Missouri area. Good competition all over the Missouri, Illinois area. I help promote County Line. I agree with a lot of what you're saying. Jared, I've been following you guys for about half the season, and I will continue. I like what you're doing. I don't know if you can go back this far. You might be able to get it back on RC Underground if you go to him. But way back, I looked at your track, and I put your track location up on a map for County Line down in Missouri. And, man, it would look like a fucking carnival was going off every race I had there because you're right there on that main road. I don't know how busy that road is, but, man, it would look like a friggin' carnival. But I'm an idiot like that. You know what I mean? I'm the guy that shuts down the roads in town so we can race and put a food truck in the middle of the road. And it's just what it is. You know what I mean? Rick says sponsorship's $5 off. So, guys, thanks for all that. And you ain't got to stroke nothing of mine, right? I'm just putting it out there because I feel like there's a lot of people that are going to make improvements. And I'm not saying, guys, as a track owner, that I am going to make a bunch of changes to my track to try to make it quote-unquote premier. I'm not going to do it. The fact is, I just wonder what it takes to be in that realm. You know what I mean? Like, what do we have? What's the deal? You know what I mean? Here's some stuff I thought about, and I'll get back to comments in just a second. A premier track. Is it location? We've always talked about location, 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 location. And County Line, that's why you got talked about. Location is key, and I think if that road's very busy, man, that's a location. And we'll be there. I'll try to be there next summer. Does it have a hobby shop? Do you have a hobby shop on location? I think is really big. Maybe not a full hobby shop, but at least stuff that guys are using, right? I don't think you're going to be able to get a full hobby shop in this day and age. I think that's really tough to get into the hobby, to pay the overhead, to get all that stuff going. And then if you become a quote-unquote hobby town style, and nothing against hobby town, but you don't really see the hobby towns getting into the higher end stuff, the custom works, the GFRPs, that kind of stuff, you don't see them getting into that. The exalts, the wits, you can get Just Stock from them, you can get Traxxas from them, you can probably get Losi from them, but you're not going to get a bunch of that, right? The other thing is food. Food on site, whether that be just a concession stand. We have a concession stand that will do nachos. That might increase next year depending on how things go. But as of now, we do like nachos, we do packaged goods, that kind of stuff just for health department reasons. And then we'll feed you. I don't expect tracks to feed people. Dave did a pancake breakfast and then he had pizzas ordered. So for the racers this weekend, which was amazing. I don't know if that's something he did in the past or not, but I'm not telling every track that you got to give food away or piss your earnings away because I do. What I'm saying is do something to appreciate your guys more. Give them a little extra. Try to give them what you would expect when you go, or you think would be over and beyond a little bit, okay? I'll get back to the comments in just a second, guys. Got a few more. Restrooms. Guys, we have a one-holer here. It is a flush toilet, but the reality of it is if you don't have any facilities for people, it makes it a little rougher, right? It makes it a little harder to get that done. So make sure you have some kind of facilities. That's a premier track, obviously. And people to work the food places and the hobby shops. If you have a hobby shop that you can only get in there for 15 minutes in between heats because that's all you have time to get a guy done during the race, that's probably not the best situation. I'm not saying it's the only situation. If that's all you can do as a track owner, that's all you can do. But if you have a hobby shop and you have a concession stand of some sort, make sure you have people work it, okay? The one that came out a bunch is atmosphere. Atmosphere, I think, is probably my biggest deal. If I go to a track and the atmosphere is shit, I probably don't think it's a premier location, okay? If it's really cold, meaning the conversations, meaning the atmosphere is cold, not temperature, I'm probably not there. You know what I mean? And the last one, but never the least one, is a track surface. Now, I'm not going to say anything bad about anybody's track surface because it doesn't matter to me. You guys prep your tracks the way you prep your tracks. Some nights, the track isn't what it's supposed to be. My opinion, fall brawl rubbered up. We have all talked about it. Fall brawl rubbered up way too quick. I should have been on it with more water earlier. That's my fault. I'm okay with that. But is the track surface what you expect it to be? If it is, that helps to be premier, in my opinion. Not completely the only thing that matters, in my opinion. Right? Brad's track tonight had some problems, had some stuff come up. It's late in the season, guys. It happens. Guys, if you've owned a track long enough, something's going to happen on it. And you're going to have to make do. And I think Brad and the guys did a really good job today of getting that race done without having craters in the track. But that happens sometimes. I've had it here. Like I say, rubbered up here. I've had a huge bump going into 1. I've had a huge bump going into 3. It's just what happens sometimes. So, as I told some guys today that have not raced Brad's a lot, I said, don't expect this being the surface that you're going to race on. So anybody that's listening to this at any time, if you raced at Brad's on 1026 for the back half of the War on Route 54 race, and you think you're not going back because that's the situation that it is, you're sadly mistaken. That track is usually really good. Okay? It is what it is. The temperatures, the way the water's in it, don't think that's normal. Okay? So let me get back to some comments. We got a bunch flying through here, and then I'll go back to my notes. Van Ice says, in my opinion, I don't think the CB is Chili Bowl is as prestigious as it once was. I've been 3 times, won class 2 times. The mod sprint and Lates and Midwest mods seem to have the best talent, but the other classes seem just like a club event. I drove 10 hours to race the same guys I've been racing with for years. That will be coming up. We're going to talk about the Chili Bowl in future episodes, guys, and I don't know if they listen. I don't care. I have ideas, and I'd like to see what everybody else thinks about them. Ryan says, Munsterman, there were half the tire crying starts. There's where half the tire crying starts. We want spec if your team gives us a discount. I hate another tire if I have to pay full price. Hear that crap weekly. Yeah, I agree, and I tell you what, it's probably hurting the hobby more than it's helping, in all honesty. County Line, is that the big one with the big jumbo? That's the one I told him I put a Jumbotron up there. You'd see live racing all night driving by there. Yes, Rick, that's the one. Kevin says, any Dippin' Dots on your menu? Add Dippin' Dots to your menu and have a huge premier notoriety. We can work on it. I do have popsicles. I keep popsicles. Marshman says popsicles and flip flops. Those of you that don't know, you piss my old lady off enough, she will take a flip flop off and beat the shit out of you with it. All right. If you don't believe it, step up. Cole says Dave is one of the best promoters in the U.S. hands down. I assume you're talking about Brinkman. And yes, Cole, I think if that is who, if we're on the same page, yes, I think Dave Brinkman is, yes. Marshman says, considering a lot of tracks don't offer food, I'd say you and the family have gone above and beyond. Thank anybody that's ate here for free. You can thank the Savannah Bananas for that. Van Nuys says 608 was done in 4 hours today with 50-some racers. Yeah. Bob does a good job up there from what I see. I'm going to start following them too. I need to put them on my list to follow 608. We're going to make it up there. He taught me a lot this weekend without knowing he taught me a lot this weekend, so I got to go see him. Brian says the surface is cold, underground is still warm. It's a battle. Adapt to the track and pay attention to what the track is doing. Yeah, it's good. And Cole says 100%. Yes, Dave Brinkman, and he is one hell of a good dude. One hell of a good dude. Foam Oval Nationals, the shirt I got on, that was last year's. We will be back next year at the Foam Oval Nationals. Make sure you guys get that done. The date is set. I don't have it. I'll look it up and let you guys know. But make sure you guys, if you're into 1RC or if you just want to come hang out for a day and enjoy some good racing and see what this is all about, 1RC racing at the Foam Oval Nationals will be at the Moose Lodge again like it was last year. That way we can have plenty of people and plenty of room for pits. They actually have more room. And it'll be good. It'll be a good racetrack. So make sure you guys get up there. Let's get back to my notes real quick. I guess just a few more comments and then we'll go. We'll move on. Let's get back to it here. Sorry guys, I'm checking some stuff. All right. So when we talk about that, we talked about, does it have to be hard-nosed or can it be just, there you go, Cole put it up there. He's already got it. He's probably got his flight planned already. Does the atmosphere have to be hard-nosed to be premier, or can it just be a good time? Can you have a good time and still have a premier location? In my opinion, you damn well better have a good time or it's not a premier location. Do vehicles have to be teched? If you're teching vehicles, does that make you more premier because you have the ability to, and you're taking the time to tech a vehicle, tech all your classes, make sure it's as even as can be? Does that make you more? Does that make you more premier? I feel like the appearance of the location makes it more premier. If you get to a track and it's not somewhat tidied up the best it can be, it's probably not a premier location. I know some guys are busting their ass to the last minute, but man, tidy it up the best you can. Not all of them are perfect, but mine's sure in the hell ain't perfect. But I feel like appearance is part of it. Obviously, how the programs run is huge for me to be premier. If you can't get your shit together, I don't know how you can call anything premier. If the reason you guys are here, you guys are not here to eat food. You're not here to look around. You're not here to go to the hobby shop. You're not here to take a dump. You're here to race. The race is on the surface that you're provided, and everybody's racing on the same surface. So no matter what happens or how the surface looks, when you pay your money, you know what you're getting into. Excuse me, you're getting into the same thing everybody else is getting into. But how the programs run, it makes the more, between atmosphere and how the programs run, which kind of goes hand in hand, that's what makes it premier to me. Or is it sponsorship? Does sponsorship make it premier? if you have banners, if you have team trailers, and I'm just thinking of the GFRP trailer. If it stops at your track, all the time, does that make you premier? Do you pay to be premier? I don't know. If that's what it takes, good old boy will be for me, because I ain't paying shit to be premier. Musherman says, yeah, chop, chop. The train goes off the rails in 45 minutes. Boys, we're closer than that. Van Ice says, if you eat at the bar here in Kempton, you'll be there to take a shit. Oh, one little time, Jason. But you're a quick learner, so. Jason didn't have a good experience at the bar. But he learned his lesson from there. So yeah, that's guys, that's where I'm at. Thank you guys for the feedback. I don't know where we're at on comments. It doesn't really matter. I'm doing a different setup, so I can't really see. We'll see at the end what the comments were. But guys, that stuff is probably as important to me as anything. And I could give two shits about Premier. It's just the thought of, in your eyes, if a place is Premier, and Jason said earlier that he feels like our place is Premier. I will never say that. I don't think we're Premier. I mean, I'll say we're a good old boys track that gets it done and has a good time. But the reality of it is, it's going to take your buddy, I think, to say, hey, man, that place is badass and we need to go. And I think that's, Ryan alluded to it in saying, hey, words wins all wars, and word of mouth does. And I don't understand. I don't understand if a track owner doesn't understand that. What I'm saying is, that's how my track got started. I didn't do anything. Everybody knows there's a few guys that came out early after the Ford County shootout one year down at BB Mods, and it is word of mouth that got that going. So, oh God, hang on, I got to get comments up here. Jared says, I'll let the racers decide if we're Premier or not. I just try to put on a cool events that the racers think are cool, like what you're doing here on the podcast. Man, I do the same thing, Jared, and we need to get together sometime and hang out. I think I'll be down there, but we need to hang out sometime, and I think there's a lot of like-minded guys that can make a difference in this hobby, and I think you're one of them. So we need to hang out sometime or get on and chat and see what happens, because Kevin says, okay, 3 more times allowed to say the word Premier. After that, we reset the clock and no one is Premier. Dude, you made me say it twice right there. What a dick. Guys, that word, and I'm not going to say it the 3rd time, that word came up because the track said they were. That's the only reason. I never thought of that word until that happened. And once that happened, I was woohoo. So, Ryan says, you running an encoder now? If so, why ain't you on YouTube as well? Put that big bald head on the big screen on YouTube. No, I'm not saying it, Kevin. I haven't done that yet. So there you go, Kevin. I'm not saying it. There's no resets. Need a $1 jar if you say Premier. Yeah. Damn it. If you were on YouTube, you'd be Premier. I said it now. It's over. What a bunch of dicks. All right. Yeah. So it is what it is, guys. I just don't know that's where it is. Uh-oh. I'll give an update for track owners still interested. The Elite still hasn't paid for any trophies as of today. Man, dude, I don't even know what to say to that. I guess the only thing I'm going to say to it is know who you go to bed with. That's the only thing I can say. Just think about it whenever a series, and I'm not going to say Elite only. I'm just saying if a series comes to you and wants, or a promoter comes to you, or whoever comes to you and wants to do something, make sure that you know where you're at. Okay? It sucks. That's the worst thing. Hang on, guys. I got a message on the bat phone here. Hang on just a second. Yeah. Yeah. It's tough. Matt says, wow. Rick is calling out dicks. And Brian says that's messed up about the Elite Series. It is, guys. I don't know. I don't want this to be a bash, and I don't think what Ryan put that out, I don't think that is a bash. I think that is a warning. That is a understanding. Maybe it isn't. Dude's an ass clown. I mean, maybe that's where we're at. Thought the Elite Series was supposed to be a premier race. Well, it's funny that came across. I'm not here to bash, but here's what I'm going to say. Tony and his wife had one hell of a series. And I don't know what's going to happen to the Elite Series. And I don't know what's going to happen to the Elite Series, and it doesn't really matter. To me, honestly, there's enough racing in this state and in this area to not have a series like that. And I don't know anything about it. I went to a few. Did I make one? I made one Elite race because I got scheduled on top of last year by them, which is fine. We were not even in the ballpark with the Elite Series as I knew it. So I didn't worry about that. But I went to Cedar, hung out with those guys that day a little bit, and I thought it was a good series. Tony and his wife did a great job of making it happen, and I feel really bad for them because the name that they built and everybody that knows the Elite Series as the Elite Series probably isn't that happy with it. You know what I mean? Especially with this kind of news coming out. So it needs to get better. I don't know what to say. I'm not going to boycott. I'm not going to raise pitchforks, but everybody knows how I feel about that stuff and how it should be done. What's up, Dennis? So there it is. Okay? Just know who you get in bed with. All right, guys, let's flip this over. We're kind of getting there. We're on the very edge of the diving board anyway. So let me shut off the recording. Let me shut off this other recording real quick, and then we will... hang on. Oh, we're going to roll here. Hang on just a second. So what about these premier tracks? Kevin says. And Brian says the Elite Series drawing racers to other tracks was a good thing, but if you're not taking care of things on the backside, that's horseshit. Yes, it is. It's helping one half of the hobby and killing the other half. Rick Taylor says, He's got the floaties ready. It's floaty time. Let me flip it over real quick before we get too deep and
Thank you for listening to another great podcast on the RCU radio channel. Please like, subscribe, and tell your friends to join the channel for more RC content. RCU Radio. We cover it all.